Well, the news is out that Polaris sold off Indian Motorcycles. I got this news yesterday, and it really gave me a lot of mixed emotions. I've already seen some videos from some larger creators, and I know there's going to be a whole bunch of smug Harley-Davidson videos coming about how Indian Motorcycles is entering a new chapter of chaos. Now, I know a lot of people are going to see this opening and say like, this guy's just an Indian fanboy. It is absolutely not the case. I am a Harley-Davidson owner. I love my 2018 Harley-Davidson Heritage 114. I love the new touring bikes. I think they're actually a direct result of the platform that Indian has put out. So let's get into Indian Motorcycles and this transition here. They were majority stake sold out to this Carolwood LP, which is basically an investment firm that has named Mike Kennedy as the CEO of Indian Motorcycles. This is, in my opinion, news that should be celebrated because everybody just a month or two ago was bagging on Harley-Davidson, even the fanboys, about their naming of Artie Starrs as the CEO of Harley-Davidson. Now, Artie Starrs really has no riding pedigree whatsoever. Came from hospitality. His last couple stints as a leader was from Topgolf and Pizza Hut. How does that have anything to do with motorcycles? Everybody was flipping out about it, but my point was like, I don't fanboy over CEOs all that much. Well, when you talk about this Indian Motorcycles Carolwood LP acquisition, they named Mike Kennedy, and Mike Kennedy has since 1989 been attached to motorcycles. He spent, 17 years with Harley, then went to BRP, then spent 5 years with Vance Hines, then went on to just over a year, RumbleOn, which is a Ride Now, basically owns Ride Now dealerships. And then just in the last 6 months went to this Carolwood LP investment firm or whatever they do. And I would have to say that that's because they were posturing very likely for this acquisition for the last 6 months. And they already had their guy before they made this acquisition. So if you can't look at this and say Harley-Davidson should have a little bit of concern in terms of how serious this acquisition is and their potential strategic execution against who Harley-Davidson hired as their CEO, there is a lot of pedigree here with Mike Kennedy. Not only does he have all the Harley-Davidson experience himself, but he also has the RumbleOn Ride Now dealership pedigree in him as well, that I think leaves them very well in tune with their existing dealer network and potentially even bigger expansion from there. Seeing that they plan on keeping all of their manufacturing infrastructure intact, all of those employees are just going to become part of the new organization itself. The dealer network is intended to remain unfazed at this point. I don't think this is the end of Indian. I know a lot of people are going to be dunking on it as if it's another Victory Motorcycle situation, but I think this is actually the rebirth of Indian Motorcycles as its own independent company and brand outside of Polaris, and that is also another thing that I find incredibly fascinating with this story. The advent of, this is the Chieftain that I've got some videos coming out on very soon, but the Power Plus power plant, the Pursuit, all of these touring bikes that Indian came out with was inarguably the reason why we saw Harley-Davidson come out with their new Road Glide and Street Glide. And if you're rooting for the failure of Indian Motorcycles, I introduced to you the brand new 2035 Road Glide. Anybody who's ridden Indian Motorcycles, if they're telling you that they don't ride better than Harley-Davidson, they're lying to you. They are that much better. Suspension, frame, it's just a better motorcycle in almost every single way. The real distinguishing fact is the Harley-Davidson badge on the tank, which a ton of people out there are buying the Harley because of the badge, not because it's better, and it's just, that is the truth. People are buying Harley because they feel it's gonna have a better resale value. They feel their friends that ride Harleys will shun them if they buy an Indian. There's more culture purchase decision around the Harley, not because Indian is worse as a motorcycle. It's really that simple. Competition made Harley better, and competition made Indian better. All the Harley-Davidson guys who are going to be dunking on Indian being dead, Indian now being the next victory. Love to just bypass the AMF years where Harley-Davidson was bought out by AMF, the bowling company, and basically just slapped the Harley-Davidson logo on as much trash bag garbage they possibly could to maximize profit. The bikes that came out in that time are notoriously bad. And after that, Harley-Davidson was kind of bought back up again, and they had to deal with decades of fixing that narrative. But right after they were bought out, Ronald Reagan came out and put a tariff on any other large touring bikes that were basically imported. So not only did Harley-Davidson get bought back out from the AMF acquisition, they were kind of given a free pass. Harley-Davidson had a helping hand that everybody loves to pretend it never happened because, well, that's not cool. So now here's Indian Motorcycles 2025 being bought out by private equity. They're not getting any sort of tariffs or free bailouts from the federal government to make sure they survive. They're really up against it now to battle this new narrative that they're going to have to, similar to how Harley had to do back in the late 80s to rebuild trust with product and all of that. Well, now Indian Motorcycles is going to be rowing upstream, dealing with this narrative that's going to be doubled down on by the Harley fanboys about how Indian Motorcycles is the next victory. Don't buy one because you're not going to be able to get parts. All of this stuff is going to be very difficult for Indian to battle. That narrative is going to be very real. It's going to be trust. You're going to see all of these Harley-Davidson guys who now conveniently kind of get to talk out of both sides of their mouth, is that Harley-Davidson is Harley-Davidson, but Indian was always just Polaris. Well, now that Indian sells off and isn't Polaris, now it's going to be, well, Indian's just victory now. Just kind of protecting your own little fort of comfort of like, I love my Harley-Davidson, and anything else is a threat to that, so we'll just talk shit about it. And I just don't think it's true. I actually think that Indian has a really viable product that they did not, even more so than what Victory was. I think the Indian motorcycle that exists today is so much more competitive with Harley-Davidson, and I don't think that goes away because of an acquisition. If anything, with the CEO and leadership, hopefully they can execute on really quickly stamping their stake and saying, we're not going anywhere. Not only are we not going anywhere, but now that we're not under Polaris, we are our own thing. We are going to survive on our own merits and, get ready. I hope that's what we see. Again, only time will tell. So to close this out, again, a lot of people are going to just accuse me of being an Indian shill because Harley-Davidson people, it's comfortable to say that. I am not on the take for Indian. I am certainly not on the take for Harley-Davidson. I am an independent voice here on YouTube. Yes, Indian has been kind to me in terms of sending bikes out for reviews. I've had razors and slingshots and that. So Polaris has treated the channel well, but they have never told me anything to say, not to say. And if they did, I would stop working with them immediately. I am somebody, and history shows that on this channel. I don't need to spend a ton of time explaining all of the times that has been the case. Anybody who's been around for a long time knows that I come from a position of authenticity, and there is never a day where this channel will sell out for a buck or for protecting free, cool stuff to show up in the house here. I mean, if I got to a point where nothing was showing up and I had to choose, like, either go and be the shill that companies send stuff out to because he's a good little soldier for us, or a guy who just didn't make YouTube videos, I would be the guy who just didn't make YouTube videos. It's that simple. So with that said, look, I'm excited for the resurgence of Indian Motorcycles as its own brand. I hope that in 2-3 years from now, I am making a video telling you guys how much this is an amazing transformation of Polaris buying the IP for Indian, building it up to something great, selling it off as something that can go on and be better on its own than what it was under Polaris, who was trying to juggle all these different segments of power sports. But again, only time will tell. Let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think? This one, I tried to kind of outline some thoughts here, but a lot of this is just ad-libbed emotion because it's an emotional announcement. Again, let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think? So with that being said, thank you guys very much for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, please hit that subscribe button down below. Remember, likes go a long way to help support the channel. I will have videos coming out on this Chieftain coming up soon, and now with everything going on, it hits different. So again, thank you guys very much for tuning in. I'll see you guys next time.